Thank you very much for this, Henry. It's very interesting to hear. You're such a role model. You have a very dense competition, you have low prices, you have wide access, and you have good service innovation you were talking about. And now you're doing this subsidizing also for the commercial use? Yes. And what else is on the moving forward list? The rollout in the streets.
Yes. So I used to work on next-gen NBN. That's my first job in IDA. So recently I was moved into this area called smart cities. As Benoit was saying, when you have the right infrastructure, ubiquitous, open access, fiber, it actually positions Singapore very well for being a smart city or leveraging the collection of data, the pulling back of sensors into the government, the common access of data by all the departments in Singapore. So that is our wish going forward. We are starting to do some pilots in small areas in Singapore, in the west and in sort of the city center. So what we're going to be building is what we call above ground boxes. It's like, some people call it tombstones. No, okay, I guess not. But basically it'll be yay high, and then you have different slots for different providers. There'll be fiber connectivity, there'll be power, and you can mount cameras, you can mount Wi-Fi emitters, you can mount small cells. All these things can come out through this above ground box. And then we are intending to have many more in Singapore. So we're going to start to have 3 first, small rollout. In the civic district, which is our old city center, we're aiming for 30, and so on and so forth. That is we hope to build on the next-gen NBN into a smart city going forward. Yeah, so that's interesting.
What would you say have been the greatest challenges with this massive rollout?
I think the challenges were faced before we signed the tender. So we called it open access, but really it's a form of industry restructuring, isn't it? Because if you look at the current fiber, so if you look at the copper services in Singapore, they were being provided by the incumbent Singtel. But what we said was, we leave copper aside, and we say going forward for fiber, it will be open access, right? And in exchange for that, we're going to put money on the table. If you want the money, you can take the money, and then it will be open access. Otherwise, you just don't participate. So that part was quite interesting. I think a lot of government leaders were a bit uncomfortable, maybe. But I think we were able to get together, and I think our minister was willing to say, yes, this is the way forward. And he managed to take it forward in that manner, and that's where we are today. I mean, it is maybe the authority working together with the political leadership to make it happen. So I think that was one challenge. And as a result of that as well, in regards to no digging, all right, just like in Stockholm, we didn't want the roads to be all digged up. It was terrible. So what we did was, as part of the bid from the eventual winner of the bid, which is Singtel OpenNet, they put in their ducts into the proposal, which meant that a lot of the new fiber being put through existing ducts, so they will replace the copper with fiber. So that was extremely helpful. But the process to get that discussed was always a challenge. So yeah, so that was fun. Yeah, but on the whole, it was a good project.
So you've had some challenges. What are your questions for Henrik? Erik, do we have anything on Twitter?
We have a lot of activity on Twitter, but there's no current questions. But
no questions? Okay. Yes, Benoit has a question.
Okay.
It's good.
I'm not going to ask the question you don't want to answer.
Okay, thank you. We can talk later.
I was wondering, I mean, you've looked at a lot of what's happening both regionally and internationally. How much do you think Singapore's success is down to the scale of the operation?
Scale of the operation. I think Singapore's rollout is a bit unique because of our density. I mean, so in the world, I think there are only 2 or 3 rollouts which have the similar density: Hong Kong, Singapore, some Tokyo, etc. Right? So because of that, I think being able to roll out for the whole country at once, touching every home at one time, and setting up all the RSPs, retail service providers, to leverage that business, I think that scale was really helpful. And that's why we can achieve 300 to 400K of subscribers in just 2 to 3 years. And also, maybe one thing, having that port into every home done in the same way, I think that really made it very much easier for the retail service providers to use the infrastructure to provide services. I think if maybe this is a point that between Stokab and us, there was difference, right? Because Stokab, you stop at the basement, right? And then beyond that is for the housing provider to provide. But in fact, that problem is the same problem we have for non-residential commercial today, where we reach every basement. But guess what? The building owner is saying, no, I think I have very nice marble. Please don't disturb my nice marble fixtures and everything. So it's crazy, right? So the business wants the fiber, but he has to pay 3,000 to 4,000 to reinstate what is effectively building works. So that becomes the barrier. At the same time, in Singapore, I think we have advantage in that over 80% of our public housing is provided by Housing Development Board, which is Singapore government run, and it's very standardized. So the rollout is very standardized. So the scale certainly, I think, just to answer Benoit, was helpful, I think, for our project. Yeah.
So you're a small country, dense populated, which has been one of the success factors.
Yes.
Is it possible for other countries or cities to copy bigger areas?
I thought the area to look at for maybe learning is how we have blended the regulatory and the contractual approach. That is something which is, I think, possible, provided the leadership, or the political leadership, sees it as something that they want to pursue in that manner. I think that is one area which I thought was a bit more helpful, because that's more applicable across geographies.
It's possible to copy, yeah.
Yeah, because if you look at, geography is hard to copy, isn't it? So
It's
if it's Hong Kong,
almost
Hong Kong is
impossible.
Hong Kong. Yeah.
But the model is still
that
good
model
to
you
copy.
can consider.
Yeah. Erik, we have something on Twitter.
Yes, we have a question from the source Stockholm ICT. And the question is, are there any key takeaways from this year's Fibre to the Home conference to bring back to Singapore?
Okay. So
You've been attending the Fibre to Home conference before this.
So actually, I couldn't attend. My colleague attended. But I understand the challenges are all around business model and how do you finance such a rollout. And the technology is clear, right? GPON, fiber is clear. The issue is how do you get the money into the projects? How do you get the incumbents cooperating, maybe? And how do you get the regulator also acting in concert? If the three come together, I think something can be done. It has to be collaborative. Yeah.
So it's all about business model.
It is 100%. Yeah, I think.
More questions for Henry? Yes.
Okay.
Hi. Impressive figures on usage and subscriptions that you're selling and these kind of things. I just need to say, going around in Europe, there's still quite a few incumbents that claim that nobody needs more than 40 megabits.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long do you think they can go on claim that?
I think incumbents, I think players would sell what they have available to them, right? I mean, if you can find a product, they will find a way to market it. Okay, I think the truth is for them, they either don't have the will today to invest in the infrastructure, so they can't sell that product. So in Singapore, we have people signing up for services, 100 meg, 200 meg, 400 meg, 1 gig. They do it for various reasons. I myself, I have a 200 meg connection. What do? Very consumer things. I watch ultra-high definition YouTube, because if not, it will take forever if I want a slow connection. I have to do a lot of working from home, because my boss keeps me very busy. And having that 200 meg really makes uploads and downloads much more productive. It's just time. Do you all know solid-state drives? Any? So hard drives today, right, we have normal spin-up. And solid-state drives are much faster. They are like your thumb drive. When you start up a computer, for solid-state drive, it takes you 7 seconds. Okay? For normal hard drives, maybe a minute. 50 seconds you save. It was enough for me to pay $200 more to get the hard drive.
That's a lot of time saving.
So, I mean, this is something for them to work out. I mean, if the product was there, I believe they'll find a way to sell it. And of course, all the other services were helpful. Maybe the other point to note is that actually going forward, if I were an SME, and this is something that we are doing in Singapore, we're hoping to do, if I'm an SME, I wouldn't just use the 1 gig for surfing the internet. That would be quite silly, isn't it? I mean, it will be possible to use the 1 gig for exchange of high-definition picture files. It will be possible to use that for cutting out part of the bandwidth to provide a wireless access service for my customers. I mean, I could be running a F&B service, etc. So there are many things that I can slice up the 1 gig into each premise. Government may even buy part of that bandwidth to power its sensors because it's cheaper to buy it from he's really nearby rather than have to roll out another box to the area. So the 1 gig shouldn't be viewed as something that's only for one customer, right?
You
It
can
must be
use it
viewed.
for
Yeah, you can use it for
ways,
as
yeah.
many users as you need, as long as the network can support it. Yeah, maybe that's how you do. I think on the point about when you sell, the operators want to sell every connection. But actually, maybe that's wrong because if every connection is 1 gig, really the 1 gig can be split up into many different users over the same connections. So
What a
we'll see how
marvelous
that
source
goes.
he is for different business models, I must
Yes,
say.
yes. So
It's interesting to hear.
okay,
Yes.
One of the most significant policy challenges we have in the United States is figuring out how to make sure everyone has a connection, even on a very low income or no income. What is Singapore doing in this manner?
okay, so this is we do have schemes to help low-income households, a further subsidy actually, to obtain broadband. Our broadband prices also are quite low right now. I mean, don't say previously, but quite low right now. And as many of the services move online, we think there's something that we have to do to help them. In addition, also in community centers, we also have IT corners, so that homes that are not able to own their home computer or have a high-speed connection, they can use it there as well. So those are some of the things that we try to do. But it's not an easy challenge to overcome, unfortunately, because broadband providers need to make money back, and this one we can only do on a sort of targeted basis. At least that's what we are doing right now. Yeah.
But you have some kind of government subsidy for low income.
I believe so. Yes, yes, for low income. But the low income also, they have other subsidies that we have there. So it may not be purely for fiber only or broadband. So it's but we see them as a customer group. So we don't look at it as broadband for the poor. That's not our perspective, I think, on it. But I should get back to you on that because I'm not 100% familiar with that. So give me a bit of time to get back to you on that. Yeah.
Henry Quek, thank you very
Thanks so
much
much,
for
Mia.
coming here. Thank you.
Thank you.